Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
Low, low, man. My cabbages! Low, low, man. Ah, my cabbages!
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What is up, everybody? Is of course Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Okay, I put Moodang too high today. I didn't realize that she would be out of frame. We gotta adjust Moodang down before we get started here to get it too into it. But guys, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you guys are having a good time here. So we have a double feature today. And I do apologize because I forgot. I'm like, oh, yes, this is in Korea time. It's slightly off from Thailand time. So the trial is at 2 p.m. today. It's at 2 p.m. in Seoul, South Korea. So that's in an hour and a half. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this stream, which is going to talk to you about what is likely going to happen. I'm not going to do a fast facts on what is likely going to happen because we're literally going to see the trial, or rather hear the trial, a play-by-play. We have people in there. They're going to be reporting from it live, giving us a play-by-play of what's happening with the Johnny Somali trial, getting all the updates directly to us. So we're going to do that in about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to try to take a small little un poquito break there, maybe get, refresh my water. It's kind of low here, and get into that one. We'll also do on that next one, if it's a little bit short, if the Somali trial is short because Bong Bong won't show up, and we'll talk about that today, then we'll give a little bit of an update on some other nuisance streamers. At least I'll talk about the sandpepper incident because I think that's kind of ridiculous, and I haven't had a chance to talk about that. So I'll throw that in with the other one. That's like a little bonus content, right? But today we're going to talk about whether this is a Somali win. Is it another Somali win? Is he winning again? Is he keep winning? Ramsey Khalid Ismail. We're going to talk about that today. Forever Mini Dreamer says, wow, I can't wait to hear about this. I'm currently at work, but I'll be listening. Cool. Well, good luck at work. Stay safe, and appreciate you listening in and donating. Giving us that golden shower that gets us to the goal. Doug Diaz for 10. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Blibral. There you go. I got it. For Canadian 10. It says here, I have some baby bucks on mat leave with my 11-year-old. Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, by the way. And enjoy your time with the baby. Hopefully it's not the boss baby. Okay. I'm going to make sure this is a little bit frozen up, but I think it'll be all right. Okay. So we're going to jump right into this. Of course. I have a PP for you guys. Now, let's do this one. This one is it's once again, it's reasonably sized. I mean, it's an average PP. It's not too crazy. So Somali wins again. What are we talking about here? We are talking about today. That is the trial of Johnny Somali today on August 29th at 2 p.m. Korea. So that's noon for me and midnight for some of you guys if you're on the East Coast in the U.S. And it focuses on witnesses. There's 3 witnesses planned today: Bong Bong, Youngman, and Hank, and I'm finally spelling Jungmann right. My Korean sources were yelling at me to spell Jungmann right. It's Yongman. Sorry, I put a young in there before, a U in there. That is not correct. So anyways, here's the problem. Bong Bong is in Australia. And she's just screwing around in Australia, doing God knows what, doing Bong Bong things, because that's what Bong Bong does. And she's not planning to attend the trial. She submitted a notice of non-appearance through her lawyer. So that is a polite way of saying I'm not showing up. However, Jungmann, he's in jail. So they're going to drag his butt from the jail to the courtroom. They're going to do that for sure. Hank is always going to show up because Hank shows up every single trial with Johnny. So really the issue here is, and this is the real critical point that I want to put out here, is that all witnesses are usually required or the trial does not proceed. Okay? So let me say that one more time. Typically, you need all witnesses, all of them, or the trial does not proceed. They stop the trial until all the witnesses come. Now, the judge can do things differently. They have discretion. So if they want, they could say, okay, today we're going to do Hank and we're going to do Jungmann, and then we're going to get Bong Bong in a future date. They could do that. They don't typically do that. So we'll see what they do today. Also, Jungmann, his charge, his deepfake charge, was dropped or is going to be dropped. Right? So when they go to court, they'll probably have a short discussion. Hey, this charge is officially dropped. It's going away. Maybe they dismiss him as a witness and say, okay, we don't need him as a witness because it's dropped, but he still has to show up. So we'll see what happens today, but under no circumstance does Bong Bong not have to testify. Bong Bong, his critical testimony, she has to testify. She can't just not come. So they're going to continue to push for that into the future. Now, one important thing to say here, and we'll get into this. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let me get some of these super chats, and then we'll get into this. Zodak says, spin this on a nice Moodang stand. Okay, so let me move Moodang here. So Moodang actually has her bucket hat today. I appreciate Moodang's bucket hat. It's very adorable, but stand is too high. So we're gonna have to move her back down, guys. Sorry, guys. There we go. The bucket hat today. The bucket hat today. Any news about the child sexual harassment? Not yet. That may be a separate case. That's most likely a separate case. Daniel Hamilton says, with Bong Bong not attending, could it be a case of witness intimidation? Yes. So we're going to talk about that. That's actually the next clip I'm going to play here because I said this way back in May of 2025. May. I was talking about how they were trying to intimidate Bong Bong. In his Discord, it was well known. That was their entire plan. We went over the text messages, the Discord messages. They all wanted to intimidate Bong Bong. And remember, intimidation doesn't always look like you think it looks. Intimidation, you may look at Bong Bong and she may seem like she's having a good time. She may be messing around in Australia, partying, whatever. But the point is, she's been, in one way or another, influenced to not show up, right? That doesn't mean she has to be crying all the time. It means she's been influenced to not show up in that trial, which Johnny Somali thinks will be a W, and his goons on Discord, etc., think will be a W because then they think, oh, they're going to have to drop the deepfake charge. Well, that's not exactly how it's going to work out, but is it a W in terms of he's not going to, be convicted today or sentenced today? Okay, but he was never going to be sentenced today anyways. This was going to be witness testimony, and then maybe sentencing would have been in November or December. That's possible. But now we can guarantee that this thing is going into 2026, which is amazing, which is fantastic. Axios says, what's up, Legal Mindset in chat? What I miss? F Johnny and Hank. That's right. I said, I made sure I found the right place this time. We'll be seeing the trial. Cool. Awesome. For 5,000. I said, Ochan. Christian Beltran says, I didn't stop playing Final Fantasy VII for the first time for the late scuff. Nice. I love Final Fantasy VII. ADPZ XD said, if RKI not in jail, I won't go ACG exhibition. Okay. I mean, don't let him change your travel plans. Don't let him change your travel plans. Okay, so let me play this clip. This is me back in May talking about this, right? And this is critical to remember, okay? About intimidation and witness intimidation. Look at that. Look at that sexy man. Okay, let me move myself in the bottom corner and let the sexy man talk. Now, trying to intimidate a victim or a witness is a severe aggravating factor in Korea, which does push the judge towards a harsh punishment. So that is something that is very severe. To now have somebody that is clearly going to be, I mean, based on all the factors we have, all the new charges, is clearly going to be a witness, and you are trying to hit her like this, that is really bad, and that is going to make the judge think we need some jail time. And reminder, this is after the lawyer was registered, so it comes off looking like this is something they are doing as a result, right? As a punishment for them getting involved, which is, to be honest, that is textbook witness and victim intimidation. This is textbook trying to pressure somebody, blackmail somebody, hurt somebody so they don't speak up and they don't speak up about that wrong. So this is something I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is absolutely going to have an impact on this. And this needs to get out there. People need to talk about this because this is absolutely wrong. And this is a strategy that Somali and his community have used repeatedly to pressure people into silence and to try to get them to step down. They've tried it with me. Of course, I am the honey badger. I do not give a damn. There ain't nobody or nothing that is going to stop me. I forgot I used the honey badger quote. That was a good one. That was a good one past me. That was a good one. From reporting on this case and from putting away Somali Ramsey Khalid Ismail and his nuisance streamer ilk that have zero respect for the cultures, people, or laws of foreign countries. And that's exactly why he deserves the most severe punishment they can hand down. I still stand by that. So that said, that was past me talking about intimidation, and they were successful. They've been intimidating her. So they've been in her chat, coming into her chat regularly. And once again, if you are a small kick streamer, okay, you don't have massive amounts of haters coming from random areas, right? If you're a big streamer like Mr. Beast or something like that, yeah, you can have random haters just coming out of nowhere. But if you're a big content creator who has millions of followers, then someone could like you and just hate you for no reason. But if you're a very small streamer, usually those people don't like you for a specific reason. They're coming from specific communities, specific areas. So when she's being flooded with people that are calling her ugly or fat, right? They're making fun of her weight, which she's an average girl, right? She's not even more to love like Mudang, right? And I love Mudang, right? But she's not even up to Mudang curviness, right? And people are going in there, they're calling her fat, they're making fun of her. And of course, those people do get banned, but there's a certain point at which that does get to somebody. And they say, oh, well, I don't want anything to do with this. And it's gotten to the point where people can't even ask her reasonable questions about Somali. Somebody went into her chat and just asked her if she plans to come to Korea to testify. That's it. That's a very neutral question. That's not something that's like, it's just a yes or a no, whatever. And she did, she answered it, but then the person was immediately banned, right? For just asking that question, right? So anything involving Somali triggers her, which kind of shows on some level intimidation. She is intimidated by a Somali in that discussion, that whole scenario on some level. And I do expect that Somali will count this as a W and his community will count this as a W and say, good job, Somali, you intimidated the witness. The bad news is, and this is the bad news, you successfully intimidated the witness. Good job. The bad news is that the witness testimony is necessary, right? It's absolutely necessary. And because it is a quintessential, a required element of this case, the trial's not going to proceed without it. And the court can take as long as it needs for her to testify. A 6-month to 1 year delay. If she keeps running around and not showing up, they will delay for 6 months to a year. In fact, I was sitting in on a trial myself. It was a different one. We were just sitting in to see the courtroom procedures and to listen to other cases. There was a case where a witness didn't show up for 2 years. 2 years. And they just kept bumping it down the road. So they could keep Johnny Somali in Korea for another year, another 2 years, until this is finished. So while Somali may celebrate this as a W, and maybe it's a Somali W, maybe you could say, hey, well, look, we got Bong Bong, guys. We got Bong Bong. It's not a W if she never shows up and just keeps bouncing around doing Bong Bong things, right? Because she's intimidated or she's scared or she, is tired of dealing with it, whatever. That's not going to be necessarily a huge W for Somali, right? So yeah, now that I was a little, did I clickbait you guys? Did I clickbait you by saying Somali win? Because it really is a backfire. It really is a backfire. That was a little bit of clickbait, but not hard. It is a W. I mean, he could say, look, because it was his plan. This was their genius plan, their 39 IQ plan, right? Was to intimidate her in this way. So you can say, okay, to a certain extent, your little plan worked. But on the other hand, it's going to completely backfire, right? So yes, you win at intimidation, but you now have to wait in Korea indefinitely, right? And you've still got, yes, you got rid of this one charge, but you're still facing 12 maximum years. We're still facing 12 maximum years. So we'll get some questions here, and then let's see. Fitty Tucker said, been looking forward to this. Is Bong Bong no-show a W or L? I think it's a long-term L, but Somali may take it as a W. He may take it as a W. And I wouldn't be surprised if he celebrates over this, right? Because he's just whatever. He's not that smart. But long-term, I think it's an L. But I think he may have successfully intimidated the witness. I think that he may have been successful in calling her fat and, calling her ugly and making this huge, storm. He may have been successful in that. And Bong Bong may not even want to admit that herself. She may say, oh, I don't care about him. I don't care about him. But deep down, she hasn't, withdrawn the charge, right? So she's not dropped the charge. But at the same time, she's not showing up to talk about it, right? So it's a mixed bag there. Who's the handsome second lawyer? Oh, so handsome. And by the way, Invader Talk says, hasn't it been a year past since he's been in the country? Yes. So now he's effectively been sentenced by not being able to leave Korea for over a year. And here's the other thing too. His roommate, I'm not even going to say the roommate's name. We all know who he's rooming with, okay? His roommate says he wants to go to China next year. That plan may be thrown out because Johnny may still be there. He'll probably still be there. If Bong Bong doesn't show up, this thing will be bumped another 6 months to a year. No problem. This thing could go on a long, long time. So long story, he boned himself. Yes, I really think his own attempts at intimidation actually backfired. Just shows how bad civilization is. It's pretty bad sometimes. Well, at least Johnny. Sophie Chronicle says, hope it's resolved before 2027 for world youth. I think it'll be resolved before 2027, but 2026 is looking like when this is going to get resolved. The DCV Titan says, this all has a brilliance of taking a flashbang, pulling the pin, and letting the spoon fly, and then sitting down and tucking it under your ball. Yes, that's very graphic, but you're not wrong. Salty Beckett, welcome as a new member. And TNT ACDC with that violated speedy trial. There's no speedy trial here. So Korea doesn't have speedy trial. And also understand, in the US, most people waive speedy trial. So it's often waived. So, and it's often waived by the defendant. Because remember, speedy trial works both ways. If you say, okay, I want a speedy trial, your defense has to also be ready within that time. So a lot of times the defense lawyer will ask to waive speedy in the US, but this isn't a US case. This is a Korean case. They don't work the same way. They go slow intentionally. They break up trials intentionally. That's their system. Their system is much different. And the process is the punishment. Insert congratulations, you played yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's 100%.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I mean, but he can think, once again, he can think he when he won all he wants. That's up to him. Dante Okami says, could it be a plan? Don't show up and leave him stuck. It could be. But I don't think Bong Bong is, I mean, no offense to Bong Bong. She seems like just a capricious girl who does whatever she wants to a certain extent. And you know, Bong Bong doing Bong Bong things. I don't think Bong Bong is playing 4D chess. Now, maybe Bong Bong's lawyer might know that, but I don't know about the history of her lawyer. I don't know about her lawyer's background. Maybe we'll find out something about that in the future, but I don't know whether or not they're playing some sort of 4D chess game with delaying this to make Johnny suffer. KGBH999 is a new member. Welcome. Larry Powers 2515 says, so 40 years from now, Johnny's still living with Hank, no income, still waiting on his trial and sentencing. Not 40 years, but I mean, it could be a year or two. Yeah. And especially if Johnny tries to appeal and do other stuff. I mean, if Hank's going to stay there during the pendency of all of his appeals, then it could be a problem. Even though if he is convicted guilty, he will go to jail. So I do imagine the jail time, the prison time, that'll happen next year. So at some point when he goes to jail, I think as soon as he hits that cell, I think Hank runs away. So I do think that Hank will hit the road once he hits that cell. Do Aussies believe in expediting? Send her back? No, you can't. She's not a criminal. So extradition, it's not expediting, it's extradition. Bong Bong isn't a criminal. So you don't extradite somebody who isn't a criminal. You can't just send somebody back to their country. Well, you could, but I'm thinking in my head. You could technically send any tourist back, but they're not going to go out of their way to grab Bong Bong, drag her back just to testify in the trial. They don't really do that. That's not a thing that countries do, and use their immigration services to like force people to go to trials in other countries. That's not a normal thing, especially not the trial of Johnny Somali. However, Korea may eventually put pressure on Bong Bong. That's true. Salty Beckett says, big love from the Azores. Oh, awesome. I've never been there. Want to visit, though. Thank you for your work. My pleasure. Thank you so much for the €5. Appreciate that. Fellas who said, sup, Andrew? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm feeling great today. Feeling much better. Good mood today. We're doing good. Stefan Lear says, glad Moodang doesn't have a shot collar. Moodang has a bucket hat, not a shot collar, okay? All right, we're just doing that. Moodang is never going to have a shot collar. Fitty Tucker says, to clarify, it stays as an L as long as the charge doesn't get dropped. Yes, yes. Does she have to prove intimidation with them? She has to testify. That's going to be a pretty necessary part of this, is testifying to as the impact on her. She has to say, how did this hurt her? How did this damage her? How is she, her reputation was damaged? How did this make her feel? She has to talk about these things on the stand. So she does not get on the stand. They would eventually drop the charge, but they don't do that for over a year. They might wait 2 years. This could go way long if she decides to not testify, because they're just going to say, okay, well, she's not available. Let's put it later. And they'll just keep doing it. They don't care. The court doesn't care. The court's still going to be there in 2 years, right? They don't care about that. The only person that cares is Johnny Somali. Tater says, do you think Korea is done adding charges? Could there be more? There could be more. The child sexual harassment, once again, it could be merged in if this takes a very long time, but we'll see. It may go in a different jurisdiction. Kieran says, could RKI play his classic? I didn't do nothing, and claim ignorance of Discord's actions on intimidation. No, we have him himself commenting, and he himself has commented, I'm going to get Bong Bong. I'm going to get this payback on Bong Bong. So RKI, Ramsey Clayton Ismail, has said that himself. So that it's very clear that he was intending to intimidate Bong Bong and trying to intimidate Bong Bong. Walking Corp 736 says, good job, Andrew. Keep it up, party. Thank you so much. I'm doing the best I can with the craziness of the legal news. And we've got a lot of other topics to get to, a lot of other things to cover, which we will be doing on this channel. And honestly, it's been great to be here with you guys. I'm glad I took a streaming break. I think everybody should take streaming breaks, and I do feel a lot more energized. So thank you so much, Walking Corpse. Appreciate you. Gemini Dawn says, will Hank have to start his military service? he's been dodging it for a long time. I don't want to comment too much on Hank and what's going on there because I don't know, but it seems like he's got the connections to try to get out of that. So, and he's really not, by the way, Hank is really not relevant to the trial except for as a witness. Suspect 333 says it's really getting really hard to believe Korea is actually going to do anything at this point. It shouldn't take this long to send an idiot jail. Suspect, you're wrong. And I'm, with all due respect, you're wrong. This is Korea's process. If you have been paying attention and been listening, which I hope you have, Korea's process is a long drawn out process over the series of months for every trial, not just Johnny, every trial. A lot of people, and this isn't your fault, but a lot of people don't understand this because they're used to American trials or trials in other countries where it's 1 week and it's just 1 week and it's over. That's not how Korea works. They go slowly. The process is the punishment. They drag it out, so you have to pay the maximum amount in legal fees and lodging and food, all this sort of stuff. The process is the punishment. This is the Korean way. And at the end of the road, you get your sentencing, but it's the final step. It's the final step. You don't sentence somebody before you adjudicate them whether they're guilty or not guilty. So that's where this is going. So I just say be patient. It's their system, right? It's based on German law. Exactly. It's based on German law. But it's very slow. So do not use U.S. trials as a fair comparison. They're not a fair comparison at all. It's not at all similar to that. DM Cray 1877 says, just send him to the cabbage fields already. He's going to get there. Oh, don't worry. He's going to get the
Emotional cabbage.
It's coming. Oh, it's coming for him. Okay, so let's review the charges again that he's still going to have against him, and then we'll see, and then we'll give ourselves a little time before the actual trial itself. Okay, so remember, he's still got 4 counts of obstruction, right? 4 counts of obstruction, 2 minor offenses acts, and a deepfake count. Now remember, Bombong's got to show up for this one because the Youngman one got dropped. They agreed to settle against each other. He's still got these 7. He's pled guilty to all but 1. So my take here, guys, is even if they drop the second deepfake, which I don't think they will do, but let's just pretend that they drop both deepfakes. He's got so many against him. I think they give him some jail time no matter what. But if this deepfake sticks and he's found guilty, which I think will happen, then I think 1 to 7 years is very likely. Is very, very, very likely. And yes, 1 deepfake charge was dropped, so his minimum decreased. The minimum recommended sentence decreased, but I would still say that's thing, and 12 years is still the maximum. So 12 years is a large amount. And remember, intimidation of a witness increases the punishment. So if the judge hears that Johnny Somali has been intimidating the witness, which he has, and it's been successful, which it has, they can increase the punishment. So, might turn this Somali W into more of an L. Silent Asian 89 for 5. Thank you so much. Chaos Smash says, Ugandan Knuckles, this is the way. The Korean way. Chris Pham 6599 says, I wish they took their shit show. It's hilarious seeing him squirm every day. I also find it hilarious that more charges are being piled out. Oh, and there may be more to come. Vashu's Gaming says, Budeg scares me after the story of the legendary plush thrower nearly took out Mizzy. If she had a shock collar as well, he wouldn't survive. First of all, let's not put shock collars on rabbits or on Mudang. And yes, the legendary super strong plushy thrower, Emiru. You're going to put a shock collar on Emiru to prevent her from throwing plushies? Like, what are you doing, guys? Like, that's Miskiff. Miskiff is trying to put a shock collar on Emmy. God, that's so horrible. That's so horrible. And by the way, that would be abuse. So yeah, no, the whole situation with Miskiff and Emiru is really bad. And to be completely honest, that one may end in like the legal dumpster fire of the year. And if that becomes a trial, it's going to be just wild. That's going to be just wild. And to a certain extent, I hope it is, and I don't hope it is, because I don't want Emmy to go through that if she's had all this, psychological and emotional damage, but she may need to go through a lawsuit to be made whole, to get the damages back from, what he did to her life. Mr. Tremendo says, Legal Mindset, sending you love from Mexico. Good to see you down there. Hope you're doing well in Mexico. Bienvenidos. Great content as always. Cool. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Loomis Stalis 7280 says, could someone do an AI song of Ramsey Khalid Ismail like Hassan Piker and Dan Clancy? Well, maybe we'll get one. Maybe I'll talk to my good friend, Mr. Don P. Bongwater, who can get an AI song of Johnny Somali, particularly if it ends up big in the news. That might be fun. DTV Titan says, who would inform the judge? Well, there are ways to inform the judge. There are ways to inform the judge. It's almost as if I've seen the judge be informed of stuff in the past. It's almost as if I know. There are ways. And on that maniacal laugh, here's what we are doing, guys. We are taking a very brief streaming break. Because the actual trial, I will start coverage in about 45 minutes, about 40 minutes. This video is going to redirect you to that one if you want to wait around. If you want to get a little snack, you want to get some food, I'm going to go get some food, right? I'm hungry, need to eat. But go do that. Come back here, get ready for the trial. We'll see what happens, and I will catch you on the next episode, which is literally in 45 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Don't be coping and seething.
You are coping and seething. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's you coping and seething. The truth it is all day, and now you are more.